Hi guys, my name's Adam and welcome to my new video. Today I'm gonna just quickly take a look at the newly released iOS 13.4.5 Developer Beta 1. This one comes just 1 week after public release of iOS 13.4, which brought quite a few little changes and tweaks to the system. You can check out my video covering new features of iOS 13.4, I will give you a link in the description down below. But let's see what is up with newly released 13.4.5. Here we go. You were probably surprised when you saw that the iOS 13.4.5 beta is out. Like what the heck, 0.5 release? What is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 and 4? Well, it's not the first time Apple has skipped one or more versions in their naming scheme. I remember this being the case, for example, in some of later iOS 11 beta releases, like iOS 11.2 or 3 I think. And there are two reasons why Apple would skip a few versions. The first reason is that they originally tested the 0.1 or 0.2 versions internally, but they found some show-stopping bugs and they decided not to release it publicly, and they just moved on to the next version. But in my opinion, that is not the case with 13.4.5, because in this scenario, they would probably just skip one version, but not 4 of them. The second and more probable reason to skip all these versions is that they want to beta test 13.4.5 in the upcoming weeks or even months, for it to be as stable as possible, so we might see it being released to public in like a month or two. But Apple also knows that they might find some major bug in the system that needs to be fixed right away, so we might see public releases of 13.4.1 or 0.2 as soon as this or next week, without it even being beta tested, so it will be immediate push release. They just want to be sure that they have enough of these point-something versions to be used for these cases. In the past week, there was a major bug discovered in the iOS, which basically prevents the VPN function from working properly, and because this is a real security threat for Apple, we might see this being fixed with immediate release of 13.4.1 in few days. And is there actually anything new with 13.4.5? Well, I don't expect Apple to come out with major new features to be added to iOS 13, because with the latest release of iOS 13.4, they actually added all remaining features that were announced with the introduction of iOS 13, but were not yet implemented to the system. And I have to give them a huge props, because with the iOS 13, they managed to put out all promised features much sooner than in the previous years. I remember with iOS 11, we had to wait up until like June for the final 0.4 release, which added, for example, messages in iCloud, the feature which was promised a year before it was released. So even though iOS 13 didn't have a smooth start, it actually finishes as a stable, polished system with all promised features added to it. But there is actually one new feature, even though it's just a small one, which was added to the Music app. From now on, you will be able to quickly share a song you're just listening to from the Music app right to your Instagram story. It's really simple. Just open the Music app, start playing a song of your choice, and here you have these 3 little dots. Tap on them, pick share, and here you see your Instagram app. And when you tap on it, it starts to create a story, and in few seconds you get this nice story ready to be published to your Instagram. That is for now the only really visible feature of iOS 13.4.5. But some new informations about the upcoming iPhone 9, aka iPhone SE 2, were also discovered in a code of this beta. Apple is still on track to release the iPhone 9, possibly as soon as this month, and there is reference to this model in iOS 13.4.5. It was found out that Apple is preparing an iPhone with Touch ID, which should support the new car key functionality and Express Transit car technology, so Apple is definitely getting ready to release this model very soon. But from now on, I don't expect any big feature updates to the iOS 13, because Apple is definitely focusing more on iOS 14, which will be released as beta in June during the WWDC. So until then, we can probably expect just the usual bug fixes and performance improvements. But there's a chance we might see iOS 13.5 be released, which could include the bug fixes and most importantly the performance improvements to the older devices. Because some of these devices will probably be cut off support with the release of iOS 14, so Apple will want to make sure that their last version of iOS for these devices is as smooth and as stable as possible. I've been using this beta for the past 24 hours, and for those of you asking about performance and battery life, I haven't found any difference between 13.4 and 13.4.5. Everything is smooth on my 11 Pro Max, as well as on my 11-inch iPad Pro. It's really soon to judge battery life, so I have to give it another few days to do so. But as of now, it seems that it is the same or at least very similar as the iOS 13.4, so no issues at all here. Alongside this update, Apple also released first betas of new updates to iPadOS, tvOS and macOS. As usual, I installed all of these, and with the iPadOS the experience is basically the same as with the iOS, because this is essentially the same system, just named differently for marketing purposes. But I want to talk about one thing, and that's the size of these updates, and the size of the iOS one in particular. Few years ago, Apple realized that the size of these updates is just too big, and they did some of their magic to significantly reduce it. I think it was with the iOS 9. But since then, the size has progressively increased and increased again, up to the point when the size of the iOS 13.4.5 is more than 4 GB on my 11 Pro Max. But in comparison, the macOS update is just under 3 gigs. Apple, honestly, the whole full-featured macOS is much smaller in size than your operating system for mobile devices. That's something that definitely needs to be worked on in the future releases. And guys, that was it for today's video. There aren't any major new features, but that was not to be expected with this minor release. But it's good to see that Apple is still trying to make the whole iOS experience better and better, and they are releasing these updates even with all that is going on in the world right now. And I will keep covering new updates as they come. Did you install this beta update? If so, what is your experience with it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And please consider subscribing for more content like this. I upload new videos every other day now, so we can expect new one very soon. And guys, until the next time, have a great day, stay safe, stay healthy, stay home, and see you in the next video. Bye!